We're going to have a little once around the village. I think the monks are going to be out again. And we're going to talk today a little bit about marrying into the family. So it's been a bit of an eye-opener for me, to be honest. I've been with my wife for over 10 years. But coming here and living with the family, not everybody's circumstances are the same, of course. But I think things work a little bit differently in Thailand to how they may work in the West, let's say. And in many ways, for many of us, we marry into a Thai family. And that comes with a certain amount of baggage, let's say, good points and bad points, some of which we'll touch on today. And we'll make a little bit of distinction of how that might differ in the West. So let's have a walk around the village. I'm being followed, guys, a long way by the new pup. It just follows me everywhere. Like, even I move from, I go from where me and Dan will sleep separately. So I'll probably discuss that a little bit today as well. Damo has her house, which is the cottage. I have my little house, which is, well, I call it the studio, but I call it the villa sometimes as well. It reminds me of a villa. If you've watched the channels a lot, you would see how we built them and stuff. But even when I go from one house to another, he sleeps outside the door of the house and waits for me. So if I go into the cottage to say night to the kids and stuff, he waits outside the front by my shoes. We've bonded, I guess. ทำอาหารเหรอมันอาหารอะไรครับเฮ้ยฟักทอง he's doing his pumpkin and she's opening a shop ครับผมอากาศดีวันนี้หนาวใช่ไหมชอบเย็นๆแบบนี้ใช่ครับผม She said, the weather's very good. And I said, yeah, I like it nice and cold like this. So I think it'd be best to start, Damo and I first met when I was working Kanchanaburi in a school. I was single and just a bachelor, living the bachelor kind of lifestyle. I didn't intend to get married. In fact, I never saw myself as somebody who would ever get married or ever have children. I love to party. I enjoyed the single lifestyle. But then Damo came along and changed all that for me. One thing leads to another. You don't set out and be like, oh, I'm going to marry this person. You get to know each other, and we went for the honeymoon period, and we ran a bar together, so things were pretty chaotic. We ran an English school together, my English school, and it was a chaotic time, to be honest, when we were younger, and I didn't really have much interest in her family. I never met them in the first 5 or 6 years, because I think in my mind, it wasn't going to be forever. It was just a relationship. But then later on, you mature and your life changes, and you start to think about maybe the long term and what's going to happen in the long. Oh, Veronica! You got run over by the bike there. You start to think about what's going to happen long term, and then it made sense to meet her family for the first time. I'd heard stories of foreigners meeting Thai ladies and then being asked for, copious amounts of money, X million baht. You're going to marry my daughter, you need to pay up the Sin Sod, and that Farang were kind of just seen as ATMs. I had an impression that Damo's family wouldn't be like that, because she told me about them, and Damo is always quite independent. I'll just let the monk say the prayer here. She'd been in a corporate job, she'd never asked me for anything in all the years we've been together. She liked to earn her own money. Even we had a bit of a break at one point in the relationship. Barbecue burning here as well. I noticed my air purifier was slightly up, not overly elevated, but slightly up, and that must mean there's a lot of burning going on in the morning here in the village. Yai. ผสมแป้ง สำหรับขนมใช่ไหม She says she's mixing the bang is like flour or dough, and then I just said samrap kanom for making the snack. Samrap is for kanom is a snack. ใส่น้ำตาล Sai is put in, and sugar. Put in the sugar. Yai tam tuk wan chai cup. One is sweet, sweet. And I asked, does grandma do this every day? And she says yes. So she's got bananas. Gloy magic night cup. Where do the bananas come from? She said they come from here in the village. So we had a break at some point, and she'd actually gone off and got a job for an estate agent. So she was in no way like dependent on me. That meant like a break in the relationship, you know what I mean? Which I think is normal for a lot of relationships. Like no relationships are completely textbook Disneyland, you know. You have your rough patches, your good patches, your bad patches. Like Damo and I, we've been through the honeymoon phase. Like we weren't sure if we wanted to stay together at some points. Anyway, it worked out, obviously. And as the marriage has kind of gone on, things have kind of just got better, to be honest. And as we had kids, things have got better. I mean, you still have your rough times from time to time, but we're at a stage in our marriage now where we accept each other for who we are, and that's flaws and all. So she knows all the bad about me, and I know all the bad about her, and we don't let it get to us anymore, like in arguments or anything like that. In fact, we don't really see much point in arguing anymore. What do you care? It's it just seems quite pointless to argue, so we don't even bother. Like there was times where we'd argue and then we wouldn't talk for days and stuff back in the day, but now we're just like, what's the point? We're just going to go around in the same circle again, so we don't even bother arguing anymore. And I guess that also living separately, which I'll come to, that's a big part of that, I think. It's not for everybody, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's what we do. So judging from my comments section, many of you are planning your next trip to beautiful Thailand, maybe this year, next year. Get yourself some decent luggage. I'd heard about level 8 luggage previously from subscribers, so when they reached out to me and asked to partner up with the channel, I asked them to send me some and let me check it out for myself, and I've been very pleasantly surprised. What is really unique about level 8 luggage, in my opinion, is that it's luggage for life. It has these 360-degree wheels that turn, and unlike most other luggage that is available on the market, these are not going to break. These are super, super reinforced and sturdy. This is an aluminium case, so it's super strong, and you also have the aluminium handle that pulls out just like this. The case is complete with TSA locks, and inside you have a high quality finish with these handy pouches that you can separate things like electronics, cosmetics, and different clothing items. It's one of those products that's easy to recommend on the channel because I use it myself, and it really is top quality, suitcase for life. Sort yourself out with some decent luggage. Check out my link below for level 8 luggage. So then coming into the family and meeting the family for the first time, I was worried about all these horror stories that I'd heard from all these other foreigners. Like, they're trying to get money from you, they're going to have expectations of you. And in some cases, this is true, by the way. They do want to get money from you, they do want expectations of you, in some cases. But in mine, none. Absolutely none. No request for anything. I was actually welcomed into the family and into the village with open arms. But obviously, having this channel, I know a lot of subscribers in many different circumstances. Some of them reach out to me personally with their predicaments, and they ask certain questions about, maybe in some cases the family has asked them for money, and should they pay or not. And it's a little bit difficult to advise on, because sometimes it's not a lot of money. Sometimes you might just want to do it to keep the mum and dad happy for the Sin Sod, the payment to marry a girl. I've never paid any Sin Sod, although Damo's twin sister, Nick, she married a Thai, and the Thai did pay the Sin Sod to Damo's family. However, they gave it back. So they gave it back and said use it as a starter fund to set up. So my wife's family have never really cared for money. And really, you have to take it case by case and look at each certain predicament, i.e. that not every case is the same. Not everyone is being extorted. Sometimes it's a traditional value, especially with the elders, that you might want to uphold. Sometimes if you've got a lot of money, it doesn't bother you to pay Sin Sod. I know there's in this village that there's a girl that met a very wealthy man that paid over $1 million in Sin Sod. He actually since passed away, but left a trust for the girl and the baby, which gave them, I don't know the exact details, to be honest. From what I'm told, what I'm informed, it's over 100,000 baht a month, and then a number of properties and cars and things like that. This kind of thing, you might think, oh, that's crazy. That can't happen. It is very common, and I think it's very common. One of the main reasons it's for kids are over there laughing. I think one of the reasons it's very common is because, especially in earlier days, if you're traveling to Thailand, you're not short of a few quid. If you can spend a lot of time here, you're not short of a few quid. Like if you're really broke, you ain't traveling to Thailand, are you? Like especially before. Now it's a bit easier. But before, if you were spending serious amounts of time in Thailand, you could afford to travel the world. Then you're not short of a few quid. And I think that Thailand attracted a lot of very wealthy people. There's a lot of millionaires and very wealthy people that I've met in Thailand, like, and still meet to this day. There's a lot, I guess, like if you were to take the whole Farang population, a good amount of them would have a good amount of money. So it's not that unusual for the woman to be left with like property and a car and things like that, and money, of course. So anyway, I digress. The sin sod, it really is like a case by case basis. Look at it yourself. Does it make sense? Sometimes you pay it and it's given back. Sometimes it can be given in gold. Sometimes it can be put towards a house. It's very, very individual circumstances, but that's kind of like the first financial clue you might have that you're marrying like into a family. Even Thais themselves, when they marry into a family. I guess Westerners marry into a family, don't you? You meet the parents, you marry into the family. But one difference that I see, though, in a lot of the anecdotal stuff, is that when a foreigner marries into the family and comes into a village, especially like this, there's a lot of the extended family around. And a lot of the time, their problems become your problems. A common one that I hear is there's a father-in-law who's asking me for money. There's a drunken brother that's got into some kind of gambling debt. It's going to put the family and the family home in some form of danger, that sort of thing. And so mother needs an operation, a hospital operation. The buffalo's sick is the old joke, So there's always some kind of like family emergency that the Farang, as often a source of money, is the one that's kind of asked to fix, especially if you've married into the family and you're part of the family. These are a lot of the cases that I hear anyway, and you'll hear a lot of them in the comments for sure, of people that tell you these stories. Like, whereas in the West, if you married into a family, it'd be unusual for the family to be asking you to fix a kind of family problem financially. It would be unusual. It's not unheard of. So every case, of course, is different, but it wouldn't be usual that in the West, the family's kind of intimate financial problems become the new husband's problems. Somehow in the West, we separate our finances somewhat. It's often that the parents are helping with the wedding, that sort of thing, and that the parents end up taking a lot of the financial burden of the children. Here it's the opposite way around. The children are taking a lot of the financial burdens of the parents, and it is seen as the children's job to help out with the parents and take care of the parents as they get older, which is something in the West that is not always the case. Maybe it's about independence as well, like the community attitude of the culture. Whereas Thais look at things as community, like you're like one unit as a community, and in the West we're more individual, so you're more independent and individual and separate from things. It could be that is like the seed that eventually grows into this way of thinking, that the family's problems become your problems. Now, I will say, the family, in my personal case, which is the only case I can really talk about, I've never been told any of the family problems. I have to probe it out often from Damo. Like, what's going on? How's this such a body? Like, how's such a body at university? Or, something's happening. And then I can decide if I want to help or not. But if I never asked, I wouldn't hear any of the problems. I think Damo never wants to put it on me, but I know that it's put on her. And many foreigners that marry Thais, if you come into this kind of setup, you may notice that your Thai wife is burdened with a lot of the extended family's problems, which then, she may not want to put it on you, she may want to put it on you, but you feel that pressure anyway, because that's taking up her headspace and it's taking up her time and her worry. And when your partner worries, you worry, don't you? In many cases. And so in terms of marrying into the family, of course, you join the yellow book as well. Like, I'm in this village. I'm actually on the insurance part of the village as well. So if I die, my family gets money from the other villagers, which is not very typical for Farang to be involved in that, so I'm told. Usually the foreigner is seen as an exception to that sort of thing. Of course, therefore, there are benefits of marrying into the family. Damo's brother's a great electrician. Our uncle's a builder. So all of these benefits of having a cheap build done and house maintenance done for relatively cheap, what would you usually pay. There are benefits. The family help each other. It isn't just the foreigner helping the Thais. The Thais help the foreigner if you're open to it. And I believe as well from a subscriber that the Philippines is quite a similar situation. Although it seems to me quite amplified in the Philippines, the amount of help and financial burden that is requested for and put on the foreigners in this relationship. I also think it's very important the dynamic of which you start your relationship. So if you've met somebody in a bar or something like that and there's already a commercial relationship set up, i.e. I pay you, you love me, then that is destined to be a relationship where you marry into a family and you're going to be paying for absolutely everything. Just because that was the a priori assumption the relationship was set up on. He's waited for me. He's waited for me with that big dog. Come on then, Charlie. He's called Charlie, by the way. Bless him. Waited for me, the little bugger. Good boy. Good boy. But if you met somebody kind of that was earning their own money, quite independent already, I think that that's less likely to be the case that you end up getting stuck with, i.e. that they already have the means and they feel the responsibility is theirs to look after their family. I also think it's super important to set ground rules. Some men, I don't know how to put this, because last time I put this into words, I got a lot of crap in the comments from people. But there are some men that are quite weak-minded, and I mean, sorry, but it is they'll just kind of get walked all over. Maybe they came to Thailand and the Philippines because they couldn't get a girl in the West. Some, I'm not saying this is you, but there's a percentage that are like that. And so because they're kind of weak-minded and they don't know how to put the foot down and be a kind of a leader in the relationship and set boundaries, I guess is one way of saying it. Because they can't do that, then they end up getting walked all over. So they just say, yeah, and then it just goes on and on and on. So, I mean, as I've said on this channel before, most of my subscribers have been around the block. It goes for the woman as well, of course. The woman has to set boundaries in their relationship and with their partner. And you kind of have to come to a mutual compromise. But if it's 90-10, and you're the one compromising 90% of the time and them 10, that's not a good balance, right? Equality means equality. But I mean, the ground rules for me in terms of the family, like marrying into this family, yeah, I'm part of the family. I think that if I ask, I want to know about any problems that there are and see if I can help with something, as some of them have been vocal on this channel about, I think it was important to me, and I didn't say this to the family, but I said it to Mo, that we keep separate living zones, but that has never been a problem anyway with the family. I won't be giving cash to the family. I don't mind covering certain things like the electricity bill and the internet, simply because it's not even a lot. For me, it's important that Damo has time for the children and for our relationship. So, because also there's a dad that's sick. Now, Damo's sister's come back now, so she can help her with that. But in the past, with Damo's dad being sick and then other problems in the family, our time as a family was being compromised by the time with the wider family. So there had to be a clearer distinction made there, which I think has been done very well. we allocate time for ourselves. We have one holiday a year, which is coming up. We're going away together for a week, and I pay a sister to look after the business and the kids. We have a date night. Used to be every Friday, but now it's once every 2 weeks, just because of being busy. We have, and every day we have a spot of time together that we allocate, and we stick to that, so the family doesn't come into that. But otherwise, I'm in a situation which I guess is a little bit different to some, because from what I read in the comments, some people have a real bad time with this and a real hard time. Like, they either requested, it's mainly being requested for money, or getting involved in the politics of the family and the craziness that happens. I mean, you'll hear some stories in my comments, but in my situation, it's pretty good. Like, I have no problems, but that's because I've got great in-laws. Right from the beginning, I always felt very welcome here. They didn't know me. They didn't know my professional background. They didn't know about my earning capacity. They didn't know about money, because the other thing, when you're starting off in a relationship, if I were you, I wouldn't mention anything about money. In fact, I pretend that you don't have any money would be the best thing to do. It's to see if somebody loves you for you, you know. I actually was broke when I met Damo, but when I met the family, I wasn't. But they didn't know anything about that, and they never asked. And they welcomed me into their home, and I lived with Damo in this wooden house here in a small room, and it was just a mattress on the floor with a mosquito net. It was great, and they never bothered about anything. It was just completely like, well, whatever, you just make it work. Now, I did hear another story about a foreigner that built a house here, and he was sick of all the relatives coming around partying. So they were drinking and banging music and partying all the time, you know, just going mental, the brothers and stuff like that. And then he said, I don't want this. I've just built this house. I don't want these people around here. And he would complain to the wife, and then the wife wasn't listening because she was joining in the partying. That's the other thing if you marry a party girl. You know, beware. Thai party girls sometimes can be can be hard work. I mean, Dabo's never been a party girl, and there are many, many Thai women that are not party girls. Just know what you're getting in for. You might want a party girl, but just know what you're getting in for with a party girl. So she was partying with them all the time, and then he went mad, and one day shouted at them all of you, get out. And they picked him up and carried him out, and they threw him out of his own house. And obviously they took the house because it was built on family land. So, which is something I've covered in the vlog so much that I don't really want to talk about again, property and land and how to mitigate that problem of, you know, it being the family land and building on the family land and stuff like that. I mean, number one, just build frugal. Number two, do a super fishies agreement, you know. Just basic. I say it in every vlog, so I'm bored of saying it. But that was another story. They just kicked him out and that was it. Gone. I mean, many Thais that are in the village that work in that industry, the party industry, they'll want to use you to build a house, and then once that's done, they have no need for you. So you better be aware that's not happening to you. And this is why, you know, you give it a good long time first to really suss out the situation. I'm talking give it a decade to suss out the situation. And so, and work out what's really going on, because these people are not stupid. As I've said before on the vlog, many men come to Thailand thinking that they're the predators, but indeed they are the prey. They are not the smart ones in the situation. They think because maybe they come from a higher socioeconomic status than some of the women, that somehow they may be more streetwise or intelligent than them. And I'm telling you that these people are professionals, many of them. So you're the ones that are trying to scam you. So beware of that. I think I've covered this. I'll probably have to go through some other stuff on this, because I just ream off. So I always read in my comments stuff that subscribers say, oh, you know, you forgot to mention this and you forgot to mention that. So that'll be in the next video. But so I mentioned this before as well, that Damo and I sleep separately. In the early days, we received a lot of criticism for it. People don't understand, like, how could you sleep separately in separate places? Like, I want to wake up with my missus in the morning and, you know, for whatever. And, you know, I love to go to sleep next to my missus. And to be honest, we always did. We always did have like some separation. A lot of it was to do with sleeping time, as I mentioned before. That Damo goes to bed early, like 9 p.m. She's asleep. I am not asleep till 2 a.m. Often I was asleep early last night, but 2 a.m. and then I usually she wakes up at this time, and I'll usually wake up at 10, something like that. So it's different sleeping patterns, always has been. Then when you put kids into the mix, it's not unusual for kids to sleep with the woman in Thailand. Like in the West, you get the baby and you put it in a crib in another room and it cries. And as somebody with a psychology degree, like from a younger age when I studied psychology, child psychology as well, which is part of my learning, I always thought that was a bit strange because the mother primate, always keeps the baby close. The baby when it's born, it doesn't know it's in a rainforest and there's a jaguar coming around and hunting it. So it's leaving it in another room in a cot is like leaving it in a tree, for a predator to attack. I think it puts a lot of stress on the baby at the very young age. Like a chimpanzee wouldn't do that to their baby, like another primate wouldn't do that. But anyway, there's a big difference between in the West, how you can leave your baby in another room and stuff like that, where in the East, many women sleep with the baby. And I found it very, very psychologically good for the children to sleep with their mother. Not necessarily psychologically good for me all the time, but when you're a dad and a husband, you grin and bear a lot of things that you really might not want in the interim for the benefit of what I see as the benefit of my kids. And so I've been okay with it. And I think it's been very psychologically good for my boys to sleep with the mother. They still do sleep with the mother, both of them. So that was another reason why we have separate places. Another reason why we have separate places is that it brings us closer together. And believe it or not, it really does. Like, we can have date nights. So she'll come from her house to my house and we can have date nights. And so it makes it a little bit more exciting. And I really just like having my own space, to be honest, guys. Like, it's I enjoy it. It's like all the benefits of being like living alone, with all the benefits of having a partner. I mean, I think when the kids are grown up and they're not sleeping with her, we will sleep together more often, like sleep in the same bed. But for now, we're okay with it. It's good for us. Like, it doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. If you've not got kids, you won't understand at all. If you've got kids, you probably may understand a little bit more. But I don't really give a shit if anybody understands or not. Like, we are happy with the situation. Separate sleeping areas, separate houses even, has been perfect for us. It's true that you can marry into the family here, that sometimes, your life gets intertwined with all these other people's life. I will conclude this with, it's not just about them pressing upon you any kind of financial problems. You come to love your Thai family. I love my Thai family. I love Damo's mother like a mother. I think she's a strong woman. I have a lot of respect for her. She's looked after those kids like she's looking after kids now. She's not a lazy woman. She's a strong woman, a strong and inspiring woman. And you come to love your Thai family, and I love my Thai family, and I'd do anything for them anyway. I would sort it out for them, sort the problem out. I don't want to see them go without, especially when I'm able to do that. So a lot of it is when you marry into the Thai family, you come to, if you're lucky and your Thai family are good people, you come to love your Thai family and they become your family. That's how I see it. Like, her mother often says to her that, Ryan is like my son. He's like family. So that's how we feel here. There's never any arguments, or it's a very calm place, guys. It's very calming, as you can see on this vlog, right? So thanks for joining today. It's been a very long one today. I've not quite covered everything, but there you go. Take care, guys. All the best.